Welcome to everybody in. This is Andre. I want to say welcome to those of you who have just joined us for our series on whiteness. And so we're just going to do the highlight of our first conversation, and really want to say thank you so much to Dr. Mary Ferguson, Mary R. Ferguson, who has just done a phenomenal job of walking us through some of our processes. And so, if you haven't heard those conversations, please go back and listen to those. Just absolutely fabulous. The compassion, the research, the actionable, pragmatic things that we can do to address whiteness in our organizations is absolutely fabulous. And I really want to thank her for driving us into or walking us through this process of really. And here's the thing that's like really interesting. What Dr. Ferguson really has helped us understand is that, particularly for our white brothers and sisters, there haven't been really good models for profound, competent, confident role models of whiteness, right? So oftentimes the role models have been these negative people who talk about their white pride or their superiority in ways that aren't helpful to advance both organizational values or community values. And so I want to say thank you so much for doing that. And one of the things that Dr. Ferguson really helped us really think about is, motivations of wanting to do this work, right? So wanting to be in the D&I or the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. What are those things that drive us? And then what are those things that hinder us? What are the things that drive us? And what are the things that hinder us? And so when she started talking about these motivators, I thought it was very interesting that shame, fault, guilt, and blame drain our motivations, right? And things like curiosity or exploration or problem solving or being productive actually adds to that. And so if we can see our so-called racial identities as being more productive, then we're more likely to invest. And I also think it's interesting that part of the conversation was really around this COVID thing, right? So right now, the way my fear is that we won't get over COVID in a timely manner here in the United States, because now it's equated with so much shame and fault and blaming. How did you get this thing? And when we must realize that diseases don't respect our social constructs. And so oftentimes we're making people feel guilty and bad and shameful. And I would say that racism, if we use that kind of illness metaphor, operates very much the same way. And so I appreciated Dr. Ferguson walking us through that. I also appreciated her giving us this tool to have this conversation about how we got here, with the recognition that there were push and pull factors, both for those who are family members made the choice to come to the Americas, and some of us were forced to come to the Americas, and others had to adopt or adapt to the changing context because we were here long before the Americas were named as such, right? If we look at particularly in Latin America, or in traditionally kind of Northern Americans with the indigenous folks that we refer to as Native Americans or American Indians, looking at both Canada and the United States, respectively, we must recognize that there were push and pull factors for those adaptations, for those things. And so really looking at those, we might get a better understanding of how privilege and power plays itself as people were encouraged, forced, or even mandated to make those adaptations to this kind of Western hemisphere. And so when we think about those things, that becomes important, particularly as we move away from that guilt, shame, fault, and really move towards this idea of being productive. So how knowing about my family's background, knowing about those push and pull factors, how can I use those not necessarily as a thing that is negatively motivating me, but use that as a powerful forward moving so that I can develop helpful and courageous pride in not only their accomplishments, but what I can do as well. And so, and maybe pride is not quite the confidence, right? So have confidence in what I have to offer, what my white brothers and sisters have to offer in this diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And so I want to say thank you so much for engaging in this short conversation. This has been wonderful. I hope that you take the opportunity to do the exercise about thinking about the push and pull factors of how your ancestors adapted to this kind of Western American, particularly North American culture, and how we can use that as a platform to move forward. So. Don't want to take any more of your time. Thank you so much. This is Andre Koen. Look forward to seeing who you become as we continue these conversations that allow everyone to be in. Thank you. Bye.